Hey, my name is Preethi, and this is my health and fitness story. So let's start from childhood. I was a chunky baby right out of the womb. I had droopy, chunky cheeks, the ones that were pinched and kissed by all of my family members. I was like a smushy gumdrop. Very cute, I know. I had a nickname associated with me too. It was Chicken. And no, not because I was scared easily, but because I ate chicken, and a lot of chicken. Me and chicken, me and food were best friends. If there was ever a face of any time I saw food, this would be it. I was seen as the cute, chubby baby, and then the cute, chubby kid for years. This soon started to change, as my chubbiness was less cute and more of a health concern. One of the things I remember about pre-K is my weight, and someone saying it out loud. I don't know who it was, but someone did. It was 90 pounds. 90 pounds as a 4-year-old. Can you imagine that? Throughout my elementary years, I steadily gained each summer about 15 to 20 pounds each year. I know you may be thinking that I just sat around all day eating, potato chips, but that's not how it was at all.
My mom worked hard to keep me active, so she signed me up for various sports like soccer, basketball, and outdoor activities. Let me tell you, I hated all forms of running and exercise when I started.
Even though I was pretty active, it was food that I coped with. I could scarf down cookies, cupcakes, ice cream, and chips as if it was my job. I just had no knowledge or awareness of serving sizes and portions, let alone calories.
I remember the countless times I would sneak into the cabinet in the kitchen where my mom placed a jar of icing, and I would take a large spoon and start the job. It was when I was halfway done with the container that I felt something. Something more than stomach pain, something more than nausea. It was guilt. There's the guilt of stealing something, the guilt of lying, the guilt of knowing too much. But the guilt that comes with food is something different. That guilt would follow me throughout my years and turn into a terrible mind game. So back to the icing. I felt this terrible guilt that made me look down at my bloated stomach and made me feel something I had never felt before. Loathe, hate, disgust, all towards my own self and my own body. I can't believe at such a young age I started to hate the way I looked. It was a shame. And what's even more daunting is that this happens to millions of kids, whether you know it or not. After that incident, I promised myself I would never eat again and would never do this to myself. That lasted up until the next day when my eyes gleamed as I remember that the half container of icing was still in the kitchen cabinet. It was very strange. Food made me so happy, but I would eat it to the point where I hated myself. I was only called fat a few times in elementary school, and it wasn't that many times to really do damage to me mentally. The damage came along towards the later years of my life. Around 5th grade, my mom took me to the doctors to talk about weight management. She also mentioned that I had these dark black patches on my neck, and my doctor told us it was because of the extra insulin deposits that I had, and my body was reacting by showing discolored skin. And she basically said I was pre-diabetic and I had to change my eating and exercise habits, otherwise this would be very dangerous for me. I hated talking about my weight to the doctor and tried to pretend I wasn't listening when my mom was talking to the doctor. Soon enough, the doctor handed us a pamphlet about a kids program called Red Light, Green Light, Eat Right. I knew the light at the end of the tunnel was gone by then. How would they ever expect me to lose weight? Why did they think I'm going to give up my cookies and cake just to be slim? See, at that point in my life, when I was a kid, I didn't find my weight an issue. I was confident in my body. I thought guys were checking me out left and right. No joke. I was super confident. And I carried myself confident. And it was only when it became an issue for others that it became an issue for me. We got to the weigh-in, and I believe my highest weight was 165 pounds. The program consisted of a healthy diet plan which entitled me to foods under colors. So greens were foods that were 10 to 100 calories. Yellows were 200 calorie foods, and reds were 400 calorie foods. We were allowed 2 extra reds a week for special occasions. Every day was a special occasion for me. I always used up my reds. As you can probably tell, it was very hard for me to transition from my unhealthy eating lifestyle to a 1,200 calorie meal plan. And I was unhappy when I didn't see results because I knew I wasn't putting in the effort. I became so angry I let myself get so big and I could never be skinny. I stayed on the program, I believe, for about a year, and then I decided to lose weight on my own. The program was expensive, and I felt I could save my mom the burden of paying because I knew what to do after research. With the program, I got down to about 155 pounds, which to me wasn't incredible, but decent. It was around 7th to 8th grade when I got more motivation. Going into high school provided me with a new field of eyes. I saw different types of bodies, and I was exposed to social media and read more about health and fitness. So I began losing weight on my own by doing cardio exercises such as running on the treadmill, HIIT workouts, and cleaning up my diet. Running became my best friend during my weight loss journey. Not only helped me escape the pressures of life, but allowed me to see progression physically and mentally. It was funny, when I first started running on the treadmill, I would hold the handlebars, and after some time I would hold one handlebar. And I remember the day where I let go of both, and I was ecstatic. By my 15th birthday, I got down to 135 pounds, which took a lot of running, a lot of saying no to pizzas, cookies, cakes, and outside food, and a lot of strength. Yes, I lost a good amount of weight, but I honestly still wasn't feeling skinny. My mom said she thought I looked great and I should stay at that weight. Even though my mom believed I looked great, I could still look down at my belly rolls while I was standing up. So I kept going until I could lose more unwanted fat. It was April 2014 when I started my extreme weight loss journey. I was either 135 or 125 pounds, but nevertheless, after that summer, I would turn into a completely different person. I became a human being without a soul, no life, no happiness, no laughter, just sadness, dissatisfaction, and anxiety. I also had made a private Instagram account at that time. I made at the start of my extreme cut to track my meals and my progress, like a food diary. It was a completely immersive world there. Everyone I was following was a health freak, posting about losing weight, staying lean, new low-calorie recipes, low-fat, low-carb, high protein. I didn't feel as crazy anymore for being so obsessive about working out and food. But I didn't realize that all these people I were following were just as obsessive as I was. I have a terrible memory, but I do remember flashbacks of what I would take for lunch during 9th grade. One slice of bread, half would have peanut butter, and the other half would have some turkey or slice of protein. I would also have a bunch of veggies. I would wait anxiously for the day to be over so I could get home before 3:30 so I could prepare my meal before my workout. But I had to have this strict schedule every day, or I truly believed I would not lose weight. My workout consisted of something like this. I would run on the treadmill for around 45 to 50 minutes, do a 25-minute HIIT cardio session, and then a 30-minute strength training session afterwards. Not every day, but my workouts were usually like this, long and intense. And my dinner was enormous. I would have half a turkey burger and half a slice of bread with a half a cup of peas, along with like a mango smoothie, or just a smoothie for dinner, as a full dinner.
You'll see in the comment section, this person said, "You really eat like a baby. You eat 1/3 of a regular meal." And I honestly remember reading that and feeling good that I was eating less than the regular person. In this time, in this moment, I just wanted to be less than the average.
So, if you can't already tell, I was super hard on myself during this cut. It was a pretty quick cut too. I want to say from May to August, I lost about over 35 pounds. 30 pounds, around that range. And the thing about this whole emotional roller coaster with restricting foods and obsessively counting calories was it wasn't just the numbers in calories that ruled me. It was also track and running that became unhealthy for me because all I was focused on was getting faster, getting a shorter mile time, workout time. So I was lowering the amount of calories I was eating, and I was trying to decrease the amount of time I could run a certain distance, as low as I can get, as short as the time can be, as small as the time can be. That was my mentality, just terribly dangerous. I was like this for about a year or two, extremely controlling, restrictive, anxious, angry, and most of all, sad. I tend to put a face of anger when I'm deep down I'm super sad, but I don't want to show it. And not only was I affected by this, but my family too. They saw this really dark side of me, and I was super mean to them during this time because I was shutting them out, and I was so unhappy with myself. I had no energy for anybody else but myself. Physically, my hair was falling out. It was so thin. My nails were brittle. My skin was so dry because there was like no oil in me whatsoever because I ate no fat. I had zero attraction towards guys, which if you know me today is a huge shock. All because of how I was restricting myself. I was so freaking cold all the time too. I had no friends. I had no time for them essentially. I also shut out a bunch of people that year in school, and that sucked for me. The lowest weight I ever got to was about 94.5 pounds. Now, for some girls, that's the average weight for their short height and small frame, but for me, it was the borderline of danger. Even though I was 5'2", I came from being over 150 pounds for most of my life. So this was a drastic change on my body. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't even satisfied at that weight. I still had a flabby stomach and some loose skin on my arms, which I kept thinking was fat. And it was just the skin from my weight loss. I wanted it off. I didn't know it was loose skin. I just thought it was extra weight. I basically wanted no skin that could be pinched off my body. I wanted to be a perfect mannequin. This type of mindset was fueled by tons of social media, especially Instagram. Then there was a point where my mom had enough. So she took me to a doctor to gain weight. It's kind of funny to look back at it. A few years ago, she took me to a weight loss program, and now she was bringing me to a weight gaining program. The first day was terrible. I felt like a specimen under a laboratory microscope. The doctor came and sat across from me and my mom with his assistant along with a notepad. We went over my story of how I was super overweight and I lost weight and everything. Then he asked me in a really rude tone, well, why did you keep losing the weight? I've never spoken about my weight issues at all with my mom. So at this point, it was very uncomfortable for me to just let everything out. So I didn't. And after I said, I don't know, the doctor was like, yes, you do. His tone again felt like he was mocking me and degrading me, and I just kept getting angrier. I kept saying, I don't know. And then finally I made a response like, I just wanted to be skinnier. And he wrote something in his notebook and we just moved on. Sophomore year of high school was so stressful for me only because I made it that way. Counting calories, exercising, and being thin all revolved around my head. It's so shocking to me that I did so well in school under the mental circumstances I was going through. Throughout sophomore year, it was a constant battle of weight gaining program, track, and myself. Throughout each problem, though, was this obsession with numbers. I would still track every calorie during gaining weight. And because I would never choose to eat out, I had to stuff myself every day after track practice. This is a really dark memory, but I remember once during track practice for an indoor workout, a part of it was to put someone on your group on a mat, and you were supposed to lift them up and carry them across the hall. Your whole team had to lift this person up. So the group of girls all eagerly voted for me, and they said the words, choose her, she's the skinniest. And that felt so sickly good because I'd never heard those words spoken to me before. And for that moment, that negative voice inside of me was telling me that I'm not skinny enough or I'm not worth enough. That voice was finally satisfied, even pleased for that moment. But, like any temporary satisfaction, that moment faded. Someone else made a comment like this when I came back to school after summer break during that cut. It was one of my gym teachers. She looked concerned and she was like, Preethi, you're so small now. If you lose any more weight, I won't even be able to see you. I chuckled at that, but deep inside, I liked it. I just want you to get a taste and a perspective of what I was like. It's horrible to have that kind of mindset. And it wasn't even me. It was this demonic being inside me that hated every fiber of my body. And I was not mentally okay. I digress. So let me get more into the doctor sessions. Each week, the nutritionist told me to incorporate more foods into my meals, liquid calories, and going out twice a week or more. All the things I had basically not done in my weight loss, the opposite of my weight loss, they told me to do. And they laughed about it. And I was like, they did not understand what I had just went through. And I felt so alone at that time. So it was easy getting by lying. During the first couple meetings, I would just drink a few bottles of water and gain a few pounds of water weight if I didn't gain weight that week. Every time they checked my weight and if they told me I had gained weight, they were happy and proud of me. I felt so weird and kind of heavy and disgusted, but I pretended I was happy and I smiled. It's so weird to be in a place where people commend you for gaining weight. I mean, all we do these days is tell people to lose weight and be slim. We tend to forget about those who went too far. Or do we even have it too far anymore? He always kept in check with my exercise habits, and he could have easily said no for me to do track, but I had gained weight previously, so we allowed it. That was the agreement. If I kept gaining, I could stay on track. If I lost, he would take me out of track. It was a daily struggle to eat foods that I had once loved as a kid but became scared of as I got older. I only wanted foods that were high protein, low fat, and moderately low in carbs. I believe that was the only way I could stay skinny. I still am amazed that I was able to run as much as I did and work out as much as I did, even though I wasn't fueling myself properly. It's really mind over matter. It's a powerful statement because it's true. It took steady months of emotional and physical pain and persistence, but I did gain about 18 pounds in the course of 6 months. At that point, when I was around 115, I started to feel that I was a bit fluffy. I was only 5'1" at the time, so 115 was above average for that height. However, I still wasn't getting my menstrual cycle at that time, so my doctor expected me to keep gaining. Forgot to mention that I lost my cycle during my weight loss journey. So at this point, I lost it in 2013, and at this point it was like about 3 years I still didn't have my cycle back. It was more than just the weight loss, the shift of hormones, the shift of body changes that you're going through, but I lost my cycle because I was putting a lot of pressure and changing the homeostasis nature of my body. And there was a point that I became frustrated because I felt like I was just backtracking. I had a chat with my sister and she also agreed I was at a healthy weight and I didn't need to be gaining more weight. My mom disagreed. She still thought I was too skinny and needed to gain more. You see, the sad part of this whole thing was I didn't only affect the way I saw myself in the mirror. There's a condition known as body dysmorphia where you look in the mirror and see something different than reality. I had that, but so did my mom. Because of all the mental chaos I went through, my mom was there the whole time watching. And slowly but surely, her perception of me changed too. She only saw me as this weak and fragile girl with her collarbones and backbone sticking out. She could barely remember the chubby girl I was as a child, nor could she perceive the healthy weight I had achieved at the time. So my sister was honestly probably the reason why I got out of the gaining weight program, because she truly explained to my mother that what problems this would cause if I kept gaining weight. I would have this endless cycle of gaining weight, and then I'd be unhappy with myself, and then I'd have to lose weight, and then my cycle would be all over the place. I'd be miserable, uncomfortable, and feel disgusted, right? And I would just be in a bad mental place. My mother was only concerned because I didn't get my cycle back yet, but I had read articles online saying that your body just needs time to adjust. So I would just have to remain stable and wait for my hormones to get their stuff together. But what happened after I left that weight gaining doctor was that things began to turn on the brighter side for me. I gained weight slowly, more on my own, while doing track and cross country. It was hard, but I knew that I had to be stable in order for my bones to not give out on me, so I could be strong in the pavement and in the gym. This year was 2016 to 17, and this was honestly a very mentally transforming year for me. Not only did I realize numbers lost their grip on me in the food and weight sense, but also in the academic and testing sense. This was my senior year of high school. It was very fun. I was more mentally at peace, I was more social, I was pretty freaking happy. Yes, I still cared about my body and food, but I wasn't in a cage anymore. I slowly began to enjoy life again. The end of the summer of my senior year was exciting for me as well, as I transitioned into going to college and was going to live in the city. It was also when I dated for the first time that I had a really fun fall and beginning of freshman year. This isn't the guy I was dating, but as you can see, I was living life. My attraction for human beings came back, praise God. Life stopped being so much about food, my body, and exercise, and more just about living life.
Let's go.
How is she hitting them?
How is she dodging them?
Connecting with people, spending time with family, having fun, being weird, getting back in touch with my passions, writing, dancing, playing, music, and most importantly, growing stronger in my faith. You see, when I was at my lowest, I wasn't living. Every day was a struggle to find a moment of happiness and satisfaction. I can't describe to you in words how dark the world was for me, but it was all because I made it that way. I was still pretty thin, I tracked my calories, but it wasn't as obsessive because I had healthier things to keep me busy. College life, the dating life, which honestly made me really happy. The next summer of 2018, I gained some weight because I was upset about this guy that I was dating. We ended things, so I stress and comfort ate. I gained about 5 to 10 pounds. Then in the fall of 2018, I remained stable, but I started to gain weight again in that winter and early 2019 because I was stressed out in school and my social life. This was a dark period for me because I started binge eating. I ate this entire cookie, which is 10 times the size of my hand, in one sitting. This is the kind of mindless eating I would do when I was a little kid, eating all the sweets I could find and stuffing myself. And then the next day I would eat like 500 calories to make up for it at this time. It was really chaotic. I hated myself every moment of the day while binging. Couldn't wait to undo the binging. I never made myself throw up, but I wanted to many times. And my skin was breaking out bad because of all the added sugars, and it was just a really bad time for me. And then that summer and the fall of 2019, I spent a lot of time by myself in college, and I lived on campus, so my diet was really processed. A bunch of protein bars, cereals, and snacks because of my fast-paced routine, work, school, gym, school, and I just wasn't in the best mindset. Around March, when COVID hit, that's when I decided to stop eating so crappy, and since I was back at home, I started to eat more home-cooked things and make them myself and take control of the food I was eating. And I actually didn't track calories during this time. I just started to eat wholesome foods and listen to my body's hunger and fullness cues. I exercised because it made me feel good, not to punish myself or to make up for calories. I ate out with friends and family and no longer tracked or even cared about the calories or macros in the food. All I cared about were the ingredients, because essentially I knew that's all my body cared about. I lost about 15 to 20 pounds that year and have been remaining stable ever since. It was the most peaceful, unplanned weight loss I ever had. Something I want to add is that my body had adjusted to its set point. The weight I am now is roughly the same exact weight I had when I started my extreme cut in 2014. Yes, I put on more muscle then, but my body became comfortable and at ease with this weight. Which is why I'm making this video, because I finally came to a point where I work with my body and I still look and feel good. I've actually gotten more compliments about my figure now than I have had in the past, even when I was my skinniest. Not that compliments matter so much, but the reason why I get so many more compliments now is because of the way I carry myself. When I was super skinny, I was still super unhappy. I didn't hold myself and walk with confidence. This whole journey I went through, it's not just about the weight I lost and the weight I gained. It's about how I mentally transformed and honestly came to a place of confidence and happiness that I had when I was a kid before the whole weight loss journey. But I had to go through the weight loss and the weight gain in order to develop the relationships that I have with food and exercise today. And more importantly, the relationship that I have with myself today. Now I feel strong, sexy, and happy, and the way I carry myself shows it. Like, who is this girl? Mami, ¿qué tú quieres? Sorry, I had to. As you can see, I've been on a chaotic roller coaster. I came from a place where I had everything in excess with no sense of healthy control, being obese and overweight, which then spiraled out to this intense restrictive control throughout my weight loss journey, which then started to become controlled by other people, and then I had to regain control in a more healthy manner, and then I essentially let go of the control. Control was a huge part of this whole entire process, and I've learned that letting it go does not mean you've lost control. There's a huge difference between the two. When you choose to let go, you're surrendering that restrictive and negative mindset away. You're letting your body do its work because your body knows itself better than you think you know it. And I really want to help other people reach a place where they can listen to their bodies, work with them, and still look and feel great. It doesn't happen overnight. It did not happen overnight for me. It took 10 years. But throughout the process, I've understood and began to gain the mindset and the tools to help guide other people, which is why I created an online course called Win From Within to leave this diet culture and to take care of your mind and body in a positive manner. This is not something you can watch in one YouTube video and change your life. It takes steps to implement. It takes time for you to self-reflect, and that's why I structured my course into a workshop style, where you're asking yourself deep questions, where you're taking notes, where you're thinking back. Ask yourself right now, are you at a place where you're unhappy with how you feel and look? Do you want to understand your body more? Do you want to have a healthier relationship with food, meaning craving healthy foods or wholesome foods and still have your fun foods? Junk foods, fun foods, same thing. Without the guilt. Do you want to learn how to love exercise and just love being active? These are the things that I go through in my course and I help you with because they're things I've struggled with and I know that other people are dealing with and battling with. And I wanted to share my story to show you why I'm so passionate about this course. I am still a work in progress, and I'm continuing to strive to become a better person. My goals have shifted from being a certain number on the scale to feeling strong and confident in my body. My goals have shifted from eating as clean as possible to eating nutrients and food that my body craves. If that's a pizza, it's a pizza. If that's a burger, it's a burger. By the way, those were vegan. There's no limits, no restrictions. It's about listening, healthy discipline, motivation, determination, and most importantly, accountability. It's not going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. This course is meant to challenge you, make you vulnerable, and it's going to ask you and encourage you to be open about changing your perspective towards food, exercise, and yourself. If you want to transform your health and fitness by leaving the dieting culture behind and challenging yourself mentally and taking on this new mindset, join my course. I promise you will be glad that you did. I hope my story moved or inspired you in some way. Maybe you resonated with me at some point in my journey. I really hope that you make the decision to change your life for good. I'll see you later.